Welcome to the Put On Waivers Media Group, home of the Put On Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
And welcome, everybody, to the glorious episode of the Student Body Right USC podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, podcasting off the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day out here in Southern California. PORSBR is my Twitter handle. So to hit me up there. And then also Instagram, we're everywhere as far as the USC Trojans go. So we want to make sure you follow us at all outlets. And then you can watch the show on YouTube, rate, review, and subscribe. And then also on anywhere podcasts are available, you can do so as well. We've been away for a little bit, but now we're back in full force and a lot to talk about here with the Trojans. And we're going to do a series of a bunch of different shows where we preview some of these recruits. USC has had a great weekend the other day. I'm getting some really high quality recruits coming into camp, and people who were like 5% USC end up going to USC. And they were like 85% going to Florida. They still end up going to USC. So good job by Lincoln Riley and his staff there to keep everybody intact and have those players come from all over the country to come fight for the Trojans here. But we're gonna talk about real quick this episode. Talk about two subjects: Mike Bohn and Nick Saban. Let's start with Mike Bohn. Mike Bohn, athletic director, formerly the Cincinnati Bearcats. The athletic director came over to USC, and it was just interesting because he resigned, and I haven't been on since he resigned. So let's just break him down real quick as far as that goes. So he has been. People are going to remember the success of the baseball team, success of the men's and women's basketball teams. There's the success of all the other programs around SC. But at the end of the day, he will be remembered mostly for bringing Lincoln Riley over. Him and Brandon Sosna, we're able to bring him over, however that happens, whatever. And they did it kind of in stealth mode, right? Like it wasn't on anybody's radar. It wasn't on ESPN's radar. It wasn't on, any of the, On3 or 24/7 Sports. It just was like you just woke up one day and you heard the news that Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams and everybody were coming over from Oklahoma to come to Southern California, and that was just a joyous day for all of us. If he ran for office that day, Mike Bohn would have probably walked away with the governorship in California or become the mayor of LA. But every story has a couple sides to it. There's going to be Mike Bohn's side. There's going to be USC side. And there's also going to be the truth. And somewhere in the middle, if some of these accusations are true about Mike Bohn, and obviously I'm not saying they were true, but like there is some weight to the accusations, to everything that's alleged. You don't leave a great job like that just because. He said it was more so being with the family. He said it was more so, what else did he say? Health reasons. And those all, I'm not going to dive into Mike Bohn's health because we can't really, we don't know anything about that. The issue I have with it is, the release that USC had nothing to do with those things. So I'd be worried if I was, it had nothing to do with those things. And he's had, accusations of things with women, with racial groups, with all these there's all accusations, but like he's had those kind of accusations at SC. So you can't ignore it, especially if you're a school like Southern California, where you're just trying to you don't want to be in the midst of any kind of drama like that. And people are gonna, if you do things at Cincinnati, if you do things and that lead to investigation at USC, you're going to bring scrutiny to the school. You're going to bring a bad name to yourself and the university. And you have a female president of the university. So if he's hearing if they're hearing that you're being um, not being in good faith with female kind of the female people you female workers you work with, or and you are a person of power in that situation, then yeah, it's going to be a problem. And this is a problem. This was a problem. It seems like at USC, and it seems like he's actually when he was at Cincinnati was under investigation for some of those things as well. So it's a really tough pill to swallow, I guess, for a program that felt like, hey, they're going to go in a really good direction. But it seems like it didn't really hinder them as far as recruits go, as far as NIL collective goes. I mean, let's just be honest. If you had to pick a top 10 athletic director job in the United States, even before Lincoln Riley came, even before Andy Stankiewicz took over the baseball program, or they got Bronny to come play basketball there, and the women's program wasn't. Well, even before that, SC would be a prime spot. So any AD job is pretty good, but if you really want a really great one, I mean, SC is a great one. So you could either you could F around and find out, and maybe he effed around and found out. Maybe we'll come back and look at this and say, USC was wrong for letting him go, and these acquisitions were all foolishness. But at the end of the day, it looks like he possibly made, allegedly, nobody coming out, I want to make him after me, made some decisions that a lot of men in power make. And if those are true, then you just move on. And somebody will realize how great this job is, and we won't be sitting here with the Pat Haydens of the world or Lynn Swans of the world. One of the most egregious things that I heard that he was accused of too, along with everything, with sexual allegations or inappropriate touching or talking to people or whatever. I mean, all those things can be all those things, but one thing that just really bothers me as well, and it's less important than those because those supersede what I'm about to say, but kind of that Lynn Swan thing where he just wasn't like the USC is playing for a championship in a particular sport, and it was like, where's Waldo? Like, where's Mike Bohn? Like what job do you have besides that? Like, what are you doing besides that? Where if it's the beach volleyball team, or if it's the water polo team or whoever, and you're not there for the championship game. I mean, I mean, we all have our favorite sports. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and watch the entire the entire each round of golf for the Masters, right? But I watched the last day, the last round, see who gets the green jacket. I'm not gonna watch qualifying and stuff like that. I mean, the fact that he's MIA for those events, like that just says a lot about Mike Bohn, says a lot about the whole situation. And then also these allegations as well. Like, if those things are happening, now that's kind of what got Lynn Swan in trouble. Like, if they win the championship, you're not there to present the trophy. like what? Like, you're not gonna be there to present the trophy. I mean, that's just bad. That's just bad. That's just bad. You can't. Mike Bohn has to do better than that. Yeah, he has to do better than that. In that situation, and he also has to do better than what allegedly could have happened here, because something happened egregiously for him to leave that job. Okay, and for USC to kind of put that statement out there that they did, because they didn't wish him well, or wish him good health. Like, when somebody says they're leaving a job because of health reasons, maybe it's cancer, maybe it's something, maybe it could be something less serious or whatever, you make sure that you tell them, hey, I hope everything works out with your health. I hope that back surgery, you know, that knee surgery goes well. You tore ACL. Good luck on rehab. I know that's going to be hard. Like those are the kind of things that you would probably say if it was all about health with Mike Bohn. So it sounds like it wasn't about health. It sounds like it was something a little bit deeper, a lot deeper, for USC to kind of say, hey, listen, you want to save face, you want to get fired, or you want to resign. Like which one suits you the best? And it's too bad because from the basketball recruiting, from all the other sports that are being recruited, track and field, and all the other things. When you read about USC athletics, and you read some of these players who are coming to USC talking about a lot of things where you're saying where like literally they're coming to USC for the right reasons. They're coming to USC because of the great business program, all these other things like that. You hear them talk about all the connections they can make out here in Los Angeles. I mean, those are the kind of things that you really want people to talk about. And the fact that they're not talking about that anymore. I mean, they are talking about that, but you're part of the mix of like, you know, guys who are not going to be around to experience that greatness, you know. But it's not what you do. Whatever you do in the dark comes to light. So hopefully, I mean, for these people who may have been working in a really bad environment, I got to give them credit. If all that stuff happened and allegedly, they did work at a high level and they brought in some really good people to perform at a very high level to get high level individuals in these coaching spots with really good staffs, with really good recruiting. Because one of the recruits from USC just said the first thing he did was sit down with he was a business major, and he sat down with the not the head coach, not the defensive back coach, not the quarterbacks coach. He sat down with the professors of the business department, and that was the selling point. That was the biggest thing about it for him. He was like, that's the reason why I'm coming to SC. Because yes, they got a good football team, yes, they got a good football coach, but after football, I'm gonna be set up pretty well. So we're gonna take a quick break and then come back, talk a little Nick Saban and all the words he has for USC. We're after this. Back on the Student Body Right USC podcast. Listen, rate, review, and subscribe. Subscribe. We got to subscribe to the show, man. Subscribe. I'm sending to a friend. We have grown a great deal, and we want to take it to that next level. So let's get ourselves to that thousand subscriber mark. We come with real stuff, man. We don't mess around and try to put little phony stuff out here for SC fans. SC fans too smart for that. I thought Nick Saban was smart, but I guess he probably is. He's a gazillionaire. As far as that goes, but some of the things he said about SC when he was at the podium, I'm talking about NIL and SC and all the other stuff that's going on. He said if that's what you want, unionize it, make it like the NFL, like exposed to NIL and all this other stuff and going back and forth. Oh my God, yada, yada, yada. Mr. Nick Saban, head coach of the big bad SEC, big bad SEC out there on the in the South. So listen, frustration with his lack of ability to maybe get some players that he wants. The team is still loaded. He has a neighbor who he knows very well, Kirby Smart at Georgia, who is getting top recruits. They just got Dylan Raiola, took him from USC, took him from Nebraska, the best quarterback. I'll say this right now: Raiola will be the best quarterback in the history of Georgia football. Like that's how good that kid is. And I usually don't talk about high school players with that. He has the ability to throw. I mean, he can move a little bit, but his pocket presence, his ability to throw the ball down the field, and the seams, the guy is just just a brilliant young quarterback, and I think he's going to be a great one for the Bulldogs coming up next in the next couple of years. But this is what Nick Saban does. He says, "Woe is me, not look at me." That's a big thing for Nick. Nick says, "Woe is me, but don't look at me," because we know about all the stuff. I mean, there's stuff off the field that gets thrown under the rug because it's Nick Saban. Like all it just goes out. He goes out of his way to try to make it "woe is me." When he was trying to get into the playoff last year, he had the "woe is me." Um, conference or conversations with all the fine bombs and all his buddies around the media. Like nobody's gonna feel bad for Nick Saban. Like how many championships? How many times we were sitting and talk about like Nick Saban? Like Nick Saban's we're really gonna feel bad about Nick Saban of all people? Like, come on. But it might have some effect on his boosters. It might have some effect on their ability to get some NIL money. Might have some effect on getting some funding for other things that players want from University of Alabama, and that's why they might not be going to other places. Like USC is an interesting place because if players feel, and now with USC going to the Big Ten, if players feel like, hey, I can go to USC, play against top NFL guys, and then no matter what my major is, I'm going to be connected with some really fantastic people who can help prolong my career. Like, just say my NFL career is really short, 2 years. Say like if I'm undrafted free agent, like, and I don't make a team, you know, that's I mean that's huge. I mean, the connections that you have, and I tell people, I tell young people all the time too when I see them, is when you go to college, yes, party, please do, go have fun. Like I mean, like seriously, go party. Do it at a responsible level. Don't black out drunk, but or end up getting but go and have fun because that's those memories you're gonna have for a long time. But and do your schoolwork, of course, and then don't sit in your room on the phone. Leave Meta alone. Like get off Snapchat. Get off go meet people who can help influence your life. Some of the biggest businesses, some of the most influential people in the world. It started when they went to college. So go take advantage of that. And that's what people can. That's the allure of Los Angeles. That's the allure of USC. And maybe that's why, he's having these conversations because he sees it coming. Plus, let's be honest, like, everybody likes the cool coach. Like, say what people who hate on Lincoln Riley, go ahead. But Lincoln Riley comes out, he's still young. He has the visor. Him and Cliff Kingsbury look really cool together on the sidelines. You gotta admit it, even if you don't want to. Like that offensive brain trust is going to be something that we're going to talk about, and maybe if USC wins a couple championships, and Kingsbury doesn't get another job, and they say, hey, they want to elevate Kingsbury. If you don't think that's probably caught his eye or he's thought about that, you're kind of crazy. Like, why would you not take that job? But that's what I mean. He's building a factory here in Southern California. And then when you see our shows about some of these recruits, along with the way they've played the transfer portal has been fantastic. Like that's where their NIL money is going, is to the proven talent. Like it's kind of the opposite of the National Football League, where the National Football League is more you want to build a team through the draft and maybe pay certain free agents. They're just getting the free agents who are proven players, Dorian Singer, Eric Gentry, people like that, and saying, let's get the proven guys in, and then let's use our high school guys as our draft, and let's build them up. And when they're physically ready to play, we don't have to be forced to play a freshman. Tackett Curtis, as good as Tackett Curtis is, he's not forced to play on this team right now. You have veterans, like the kid Moss from Oklahoma State. You have veterans there. You have Eric Gentry there, who looks really good right now. Like those, that's the kind of game they're playing. And Alabama, it's a lot of kids are going to go to Alabama. Like, come on, who are we kidding? But remember, when you hear Nick Saban talk, it's always woe is me. Don't look at me. Because when we start looking into Alabama and looking into all the silliness, like he's talking trash about USC, talking trash about Texas A&M, and like all this. What was Tennessee is a school, also SEC school, who's kind of coming after him as well, and some big time recruits are going to Tennessee as well. I mean, he has to protect his brand. That's all he's doing. This is the dad get off my lawn thing. And some people were saying that, I think some people in Barstool Sports were saying that this is just brilliant. He's not talking to anybody else in particular. He's just talking to guys who he's talking to people who are the donors, people who are all the guys who run the NILs and the collectives or anything like that. They say, we need to step up our financial gain if we're going to compete with Los Angeles. And they could be right. This could be just like a brilliant plan to do so. But while this is a free for all, okay, while this is a free for all with the transport portal, and we're not doing silly things to take away people's Heismans. Reggie needs to get his Heisman. Like that's huge for USC to be in the category of, I'm gonna use USC to try to get what I need if you're Nick Saban. And it's all good. Like, it's all good. I mean, I get it. It's coach speak. But again, Nick Saban is being a baby, and the SEC is being a little weak here as well. Let's just look at some of them. I mean, they're not playing a lot of Power Five schools outside the conference, and you can't sit there and say, see, the problem with the SEC is this, and it's probably what we're coming up in a couple of years, is that they have to make sure that they get the quarterbacks, because if they don't get the quarterbacks, it's going to be a problem. SC is going to get quarterbacks. Matt Rule is going to, once he gets that thing going, he might be able to get some quarterbacks. He almost landed Riola, but it didn't happen. Some of these schools are like some of these other schools. I mean, look at the Pac-12 this year, and the quarterback play they're going to get this year. You don't think any of these SC schools don't want DJ Alungale? They don't want Michael Penix, Bo Nix, who is like on film looking pretty scary. Like, you can make fun of Bo Nix's last name all you want, but like that's been a good move for him to go to Oregon. Him at Oregon might make him a top 5 pick. So let Nick cry, Trojan fans. Don't worry about it. It doesn't affect anybody. It's all about that. And let's just see if this defense can play to a certain level, so USC can play a team like Alabama, because the only way they can play this year would be where. All right, Trojan fans, good to be back. Good to be back in the saddle. Got a bunch of shows coming up for you. We preview the Buffaloes coming up here with somebody with a couple of writers here. We'll cover the Buffaloes, so check that out. We'll see what's going on with Deion Land. And we have that coming up. And also, we're going to break down. We're going to have one show each on some of these prospects, some of these recruiters, some of these commits to come to USC. We have that, and then we're going to do a big, huge breakdown before the season starts. Obviously, for a lot of different positions, a lot of different things with the Trojans, but most importantly, the defense in Alex Grinch. What does Alex Grinch want to do defensively? How good can they possibly be defensively? That's going to be a big question for the Trojans, and we'll find out as we continue to, fight on.